I have a purpose, and it's noble, but it's the best interest of you and the best interest of the audience. I wanted to understand that you can take media that nobody usually uses. You can take correlations that nobody uses. You can take the data and utilize it in ways nobody ever thinks about. And you can take the creative, how it looks, how it's expressed, the offer, and those combinations, depending on the type of business, can produce an extra X% response and also increase the quality and convertibility. And for certain, whether you're a cosmetic surgeon or whether you're a mortgage banker or whether you're a car dealer or whether you're anybody selling anything of any consequence, my take, and I want you to affirm it, or you could say no, Jay, only certain things if that's what you believe. I just believe almost anybody selling either high ticket, intangible, or highly repetitive would be very wise in paying very keen attention and considering trying some of this out. So talk a little bit. Give us some stories.
So a lot of my big clients I have pretty strong NDAs with, so I can't really drop client names, but I'll tell you one good story where, you know, there's a mattress company that everybody's heard of that's on television. They spend a lot of money selling very expensive mattresses, and they sell a lot of them. Let me just say that. And they have like 1 million people that come to their website every month, 1 million unique visitors on their website from their TV spots. And they might be buying the mattress online and shipping it to their house. And what we did is we put our code on the website, and we found out of 1 million unique visitors, there was about 500,000 names and addresses where we could actually match. We match about half the web traffic to a physical name and address. And what we did is we said, okay, let's direct mail 100,000 of them that were on the website, and we'll send them a postcard with a 5% off discount. But let's take another 100,000 that went to the website the same day and don't direct mail them. The people that we direct mail, that group, we sold 3 times as many mattresses. So it was a 300% increase just by spending $1.25 mailing a first-class postcard. So that was a great case study where we actually proved that it worked. You know, like, let's mail some of the web visitors and let's have a holdout group and not mail the other group, and let's see what the conversion increase is by just sending them one direct mail piece. Because when you're doing television and radio and internet, it starts to get confusing on what made the sale happen, but we were able to do like a holdout group. So I was pretty excited about that case study. Holdout.
And are you very strong mostly in a postcard formatted mailing, or you do all of it?
You know what? The little tiny 4¼ by 6-inch postcard mails first class postage for like 28 cents a piece compared to 55 cents on a stamp. So we've really leaned into the postcards because we mail 100 postcards every day first class, and we get them to the home 3 days after they were on the website. So that's been our chosen mail format, is postcards, just because they're easy to produce, first class, small quantities every single day, multiple versions. Letters typically work better than postcards. They just do. Postcards normally don't work, but because these people were on the website 3 days ago, they get the postcard, they recognize the name, so they seem to be pretty effective. We haven't done testing on letters yet, but that's coming. And
that'd be interesting. Now, do you acquire data and do mailings to just targeted lists as well?
Oh yeah, cold acquisition is probably 80% of our business, and we just go out and look for data that has better timing than cold data that just doesn't respond well. And I'll give you a good example.
Yeah, explain and give us an example.
So like for my mortgage company, if you call a mortgage company right now and you apply for a loan and you give them your social over the phone, they're going to run your credit. As soon as your credit gets run, I buy your name from the credit bureau and I go, hey, Jay's in the market for a mortgage. He just had his credit run, and we mail a direct mail letter to your house saying, hey, we know you're shopping for a mortgage. We'd like to meet or beat your best deal. And so we're real big on acquisition data from the credit bureau, or let's say that you're a veteran and you have a $300,000 mortgage, and we see that you've got $30,000 in credit card debt. We might mail you a letter saying, hey, pay off your $30,000 in credit card debt. Instead of paying $1,000 a month minimum payment, you can spend $100 a month on a mortgage and write it off. So we're real big on pulling data that responds well, converts well, and my opinion is data is all about timing. You know, if you own a solar company and you're putting in a swimming pool at your house, I buy your name because you pulled a permit to build a swimming pool. Your electric bill is getting ready to skyrocket because you're putting in a pool. So I'll mail a homeowner, hey, we noticed you just pulled a permit to put in a swimming pool. Did you know your electric bill is getting ready to double? This is a good time to go solar. You should call us and get solar on your roof. So
I
it's
love
all
that.
about data and timing, you
But
know.
it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like there's one more gradient. It's about what I'll call critical and consequential thinking that has the ability to articulate the implication, the danger, and the benefit. That's
Yes.
great. You have a creative department, right?
Yeah, we have a couple full-time artists that are specialists in direct mail, writing copy, designing, different letters, going into weird envelopes, big envelopes, small, brown ones, white ones, snap pack, tear apart. We do, some of our clients mail 16 different versions a week and say, okay, which test won out of the 16, which creative, and it's drastic. One got a 0.5% response and one got 2%. So we're real big on mail format creative testing. I've got 400 toll-free phone numbers that I let my clients use to see how many calls on each campaign. So
That's great.
we're testing creative a lot.
So let's talk about industries or scenarios. You talked one about anybody that has either a lot of quantity or less but higher quality, and you're selling something significant where there's a time critical issue and that window is going to close very rapidly, and that you can maybe double, triple, quadruple the ability to stimulate that visitor to be a buyer. We talked about, inventively and innovatively accessing different categories of data that you can overlay and that you can, in a very timely way, uh, reach through what I'll call cold mailing, a very hot prospect for any of a number of crisscross applications. What are some other really great either current uses or uses that you would love to see somebody do because you sense that if the right kind of a company did it, it would just kick ass?
So over the years, I've just specialized in selling high ticket items that are very profitable. You sell a car and you make $5,000 profit. So you're willing to spend 10 grand on direct mail because you're making 5 grand profit per car. A mortgage makes $5,000. Installing $30,000 worth of solar on your roof might make $8,000 or $9,000. So I like marketing big ticket items because we just make our clients a lot of money. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're selling something that costs $2, a box of Kleenex, it's hard to sell that through direct mail unless it's like something I learned from you, like LTV, lifetime value of the customer,
Right.
software subscription. I mean, I've done every bit of direct mail, business to business, business to consumer, but mainly the big ticket items is what I like because it's easier to make money, generate a response. Um, and like I said, going out and buying a mailing list off the shelf might not work anymore. It's just too competitive. So if I go out and I say, hey, Jay's a homeowner, but he's also putting a pool in and he just went and bought a brand new Tesla. So he's going to be charging his car at night. So he's going to have a big electric bill between this Tesla and the swimming pool. This is good timing. So my thing is, let's go find some data that's really good timing, and we'll mail those people. And instead of getting a 0.3 response rate, we'll get a 3% response. I mean, I've seen 10 times the response just going after the right list with the right offer, but most important, at the right time. What's the timing of this? What's going on in their life? They just had a baby yesterday this is a good time to mail them for more life insurance. Their baby was born last week. They're thinking about life insurance right now, like life events. We do a lot of that in the data, and then design the creative that kind of goes along with that to really optimize and look at the
That's great.
response.
So let me ask you this, and uh, a lot of people are afraid of delving into whether it's media types of marketing that they are unfamiliar with, or that they have not a prejudice, but an erroneous attitude that it may no longer be viable. So, with regard to direct mail and the variations of it, it's actually a sleeper right now, isn't it? I mean, in the COVID time, it's been probably even more responsive.
Yeah, it's funny. During COVID, we estimated our response rates went up about 50%. So instead of getting a 1% response, we're getting 1.5%. Literally, people were home with nothing to do. They're going out to their mailbox. It might have been their only communication with the outside world. And instead of spending 10 seconds with a mail piece, they might have spent 30 seconds with it. So our response rates went up about 50% just from people being home, bored, probably looking at their mail, spending a little more time reading it, which was funny.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, and you got a very, and I'm not a shill for you. I am a champion advocate of what I think you can do and the values that I think you stand for your client. So I'm in total alignment, excuse me, with what you do. You don't ask a client to sign long term. And they can do a relatively small, 10 grand is roughly how many pieces will that mail?
I mean, 20,000 pieces at 50 cents a piece is 10 grand. That would be probably an average test, depending on, data and mail piece and postage. I mean, 50 cents is
And
kind of
that's probably an adequate enough test, isn't it?
oh,
A
yeah.
good
Yeah.
indicator.
Yeah.
So let me ask you,
20,000. Yeah.
and what about B2B?
B2B, the average response rate is about 0.2%. So if we send out 20,000 mailers, we get you 40 leads. Is 40 leads enough to figure out, okay, what's your conversion? Did you sell, four new $100,000 servers, or did you onboard, 20 new customers for your SaaS software as a service monthly subscription like QuickBooks or Salesforce? So B2B is always a little less response, but it's usually a lot higher lifetime value. So we can do B2B.
And so let's talk about that. Is most B2B, and again, I want to make a point because I have a couple of other clients, and the ones that I introduced you to are real excited about trying to figure some stuff out. But a lot of these clients, they're dealing with, as you say, it's a SaaS system. People are spending $3,000-4,000 a month, theoretically for life, not even counting upgrades and referrals. So you're playing a much different game. And I have another colleague he sets up business meetings for some very high level companies, and they're thrilled if he gets them 20 in a month.
Right.
And they'll pay 10, 20 grand just to get them 20 meetings, as
Wow.
long as they're the right meetings. So I think that it's probably worth people and you impress me that if you don't think something would work, you wouldn't take somebody's money.
No, no. We did $20 million worth of direct mail last year, and I just counted it. 18 million of it was repeat customers. So I'm only bringing in $2 million a year in new business. It's really too much work to onboard a new client if they don't order every week, every month. It's not worth it. It's too much work. So we really want people that are gonna, mail
Yes.
every week.
Well, you have more motivation for the best interest of the other side than they do. But I do think I think that today, from everything I know, and it's not anywhere close to the depth of you because you are the specialist, but anybody selling locally, regionally, nationally, anything that is high ticket or intangible or highly repetitive, and any of those combinations is a significant amount of money relative to the sale, and you got either the ability to gain an advantage with someone like Jeff, accessing and combining and overlaying and distilling and integrating data or creative or being able to know and repurpose somebody that hit your website and didn't take a forward action. You owe it to yourself if you're any size business. $10,000 is a very modest experiment. Again, I don't make a penny if you spend 10 or 110 or a million 10. I don't make a penny from anybody, but I know this to be a sleeper. And I think everybody today needs advantage. And if your competitors don't understand this, and you do, and you can test it. And what I've always found, Jeff, this is not to be the negative, but it's the hedge against negative. Unless everything about the test process is really screwed up, if it doesn't work, it's not going to work zero. You're going to still get back some, half, most of your spend. And if it's at least half or most, it tells you it's viable. You just have to shift and find a new approach. And that could break up all kinds of opportunities. So I just think people should try it. What am I not asking that I should? What do you need to share as far as knowledge or variations or applications?
I think something you had asked a little bit earlier that I didn't answer that I think is worth answering. People today will say to me, "You do direct mail? You mean like snail mail or junk mail?" They think that it doesn't even exist anymore. I'm like, "Do you realize it's a $60 billion industry in America? 60 billion worth of direct mail is sent every year. So it's not like it's gone away." I think a lot of people, they're doing email marketing, Jay. They're spending a half a cent to send an email, right? And people will send millions. And then they go to Facebook and Google and they spend 3 cents to put an ad on Facebook or Google or Instagram, right? And then you think about direct mail and you're like, oh my gosh, 50 cents a piece. I mean, postage is almost 30 cents. I could not imagine spending the money on direct mail. But you're like, listen, the response on direct mail is like 7 times better. The conversion is 30% better. So it really comes down to what is your cost per sale? Not everybody's going to respond to email or Facebook. So direct mail is just a channel. It's not the answer for everyone, but it's also not, the enemy. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it. I bought a used Audi from an Audi dealer down in San Diego, and they started emailing me, and they started emailing me 4 times a week. So I opted out of the email and said, "You guys are bugging me. Like, stop." And it's funny, once I opted out of that email, I have not heard from that Audi dealership in 3 years since I bought the car. I bought another 2 cars from different dealerships, and I'm like, you're not even going to spend like 50 cents mailing me a letter about your service department, the sales department. If I opt out of receiving your emails, our communication's dead. And I bought a $75,000 used car from you. You guys probably made 10 grand on. I just can't believe you won't spend the money on direct mail to put something in my mailbox. And I'm not shopping on Google and Facebook for a car, so they're not going to really find me. So it's just interesting how so many people.
That's a great analogy, Jeff.
Yeah.
Wait, one curious question. It's very, very tangential. Have you done anything modifying this to overseas, and if so, did it work?
That's a great question. I have never gotten into international mail. We get a lot of people calling saying, "Hey, can I mail to Canada?" And I'm like, I think postage in Canada is like $1.25 instead of 29 cents for third class mail. So postage going out of the country is very expensive. So you just have to find a good list with a really good offer and check to see if it'll ROI. I don't know that much about international direct mail. 29 years of doing this, I've done like a.
No, it's interesting because it used to be the opposite. People found out that by mailing from out of the country in, it got opened and it was an envelope, not a postcard as much, but it really would increase yield a lot.
Oh, so you're actually saying send the direct mail from out of the country
Well,
to.
I mean, I'm saying both ways.
Oh, that's
But I'm suggesting you might actually try that if you can get it into the country in a timely enough way that it works with your strategic model. Because is there something about foreign mail that commands attention more than normal?
Yeah, sometimes we like putting 55-cent stamps on the envelope and kind of put them on crooked and hand address the envelope. I mean, we get a
Absolutely.
99% open rate, but it takes the cost up. So we're always saying, okay, we took the cost up by 50%. What was the increase in response? If
Yeah,
it's
I get
40,
it.
and that didn't pencil right. We test a lot of things. So I
But
like
that's
that
I love to see
information.
all your tests. Uh, Jeff, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
I mean, overflowworks.com, finding our website and just filling out a form or email me or call me. The 800 numbers on our website. I'm just Jeff Bush, spelled out at overflowworks.com. So, believe it or not, I still get on the phone a lot with our large clients, our clients that are spending, three, $400,000 a month. Those are big clients, and we're always
Sure.
tweaking the data, tweaking the creative, coming up with new test ideas, new offers. So I'm pretty involved with all the big clients. So emailing, calling, fill out a form online, and someone will call you, and you can get me on the phone on a week's notice. I'll get on a Zoom meeting. I do 6 or 7 Zoom meetings a day. I love what I do. I love data, analytical. I love creative. I love advertising offers. And so I'm pretty involved in help present all these tools and this information to help businesses get a big ROI. That's what I'm kind of big.
And my communications and discussions and conversations with you have always been very educational. You always have stimulated my mind with the way you look at the ability to find more business for clients through really inventive new slices and dices that I don't think your generic competitors would think of. Because we talked earlier, in summary, you're not really a mailing house. You are truly a strategic marketing integration, either direct response something or the ultimate qualitative and conversion based lead generating source. But I think you're a very unique entity, and I think this has been very interesting. I'm sorry I was a few minutes late. Most people won't know that when they listen, but my apologies. But it's been very stimulating. Thank you, Jeff.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.